All right, going in there. You hit the ticket. And I was like, stream elements is missing. There we go. I think it'll work now. It's kind of weird. I was like, it's not at the bottom where I normally click it. That is kind of weird. All right, so I think that should be working now. See if you guys can hear me. It's not at the bottom. Go. Give me a quick sound check, guys. Let me know if you guys can hear me. All right, cool. Thank you, Ryan. I do have to make this a little bit bigger. And that's good. You guys can see that. All right, cool. All right, so yeah, it's been it's been an interesting couple days, just to say the least, for you guys. Thursday was just totally drama filled. All weekend was crazy, and then literally as I was grabbing tea to come up here, um, I don't know anybody out there with kid, you guys out there with kids, you guys will understand this one, but the baby had a code brown. Mom is down there dry heaving right now, trying to give her a bath in the sink. So I was like, gotta go, sweetie. Gotta jump on the chart school. Can't be late. People are gonna be, exclamation point ticketing. Gotta go. Sorry. So yeah, I'm probably in the doghouse, but that's okay. Um, yeah. So hope everybody's trading day went well. Thank you guys for those asking about mom. She's doing well. It was just it's anytime you have a surgery, it's kind of one of those things you got to worry about. Then she busted a fever out, and it was kind of like not always the best thing to have a 101 fever a day after your surgery. But it turns out that it was just some type of body response. Mom is okay. She saw the doctor today, and everything's good. Um, you know, is what it is. I was not involved. The nurse was like, "Oh, do you want to see her, her incision?" I'm like, "No, no, I don't. I'm good. Don't have to see it." And it was nothing major. She was just she had like a heel spur, so she was getting her Achilles tendon taken off. They were gonna like grind down the heel spur and then reattach the Achilles tendon. So it's more just a pain in the ass than anything else. So sorry about that word, but that's basically what it is. So um, it sounded really painful when they explained it to me, and then when the lady's like, "Oh, do you want to see the scar?" I'm like, "No, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'll just hang out in the waiting room." So yeah, it's crazy. And then this morning, if any of you guys were on the Nadex broadcast this morning, the computer decided to give me like a blue screen of death, like halfway through it. I'm like, I have never seen that on Windows, Windows 10 before. That's kind of funky. Don't know where that came from, but okay. It's been working fine the rest of the day, so no idea, man. So it's just been, a lot. Last 5 days have been just kind of funky. But I do have a surprise, something that I'm adding to the format, and you guys let me know whether or not you like this or not. So, um, as you can see today, looking at the scanner across the board, again, we're still always going to start with the scanner up top to kind of review what we saw. As you can see, a lot of stuff was kind of down today. Actually in 24 hours, only one thing is up, which is kind of funny, and it's only up 3 pips. So nothing crazy. But again, we saw euro weakness. We saw some dollar strength against the euro as well as the pound. Obviously, pound yen, we saw a decline. Dollar Swiss, same thing, bit of a decline. That was dollar strength. Although we had dollar weakness against CAD. Okay, not a lot. And then pound yen was only down 54 today, but again, that was kind of the European slash weakness across the board. Um, and again, a lot of that started off early this morning. You guys can see that we had the manufacturing and the flash services PMI. So not surprised. I mean, literally, it was a brick of red. So there's a lot of stuff going on there. And then we had the flash manufacturing PMI at 9:45 this morning, and kind of again, bam, there came in your dollar strength. So we had all this European pound weakness, and then we had some again dollar, an adjustment as well as a little bit of dollar. And again, it's medium news, so nothing big. And then two FOMC members speaking, which is again not really anything super crazy there. Those guys aren't, they're not known to be necessarily market movers. Going into tomorrow, you guys can see at some point it says 1:30 a.m. Typically the BOJ is a little bit um, they typically aren't set to specific times, but again, you'll see that the Bank of Japan is going to speak early morning. Late for some of you, or not late. I know you guys stay up to like midnight. 3, 4, 5, 6 a.m. Those kind of things. But you'll be able to hear his speech earlier, and then again early morning you're going to see Lowe's speak, which Lowe's speech actually could give us some movement in the Aussie. It's 5:55 a.m. Eastern time, so end of the day over there. That one would be interesting. You don't see Lowe speak too often, but again, has the power to move the market. And again, at that time, the European rush will be over, and obviously no U.S. traders in there. So obviously, Aussie yen and Aussie dollar would be two pairs to look at for those kind of setups. And actually, I think both of them have a setup, downtrend setup right now. Consumer confidence number tomorrow at 10 for the U.S. I think this is going to be a big number. It's supposed to be, the forecast is lower than what it was previously. Drinking some tea because, of course, mom goes in for surgery. Boy number one has a runny nose, and then baby has a runny nose. So then everybody has a runny nose right now. I don't have the runny nose, but my throat hurts. So drinking some tea. But consumer confidence will be a big number. And then again, tomorrow night, we have the official rate. Not supposed to be any type of a cut. It's already at 1. I don't think they're going to go to 0.75. But the statement, again, you guys have seen, New Zealand news definitely move. Not only New Zealand, but also Aussie news. Okay. As far as noteworthy news today, you guys will see. I don't know. I mean, like, biggest thing that I saw early this morning was that Boris Johnson and Trump said that they're going to have a trade deal in place by next year. That's kind of like, that's a long time from now to be talking about it now, but maybe they'll start talking about it. They both need some type of political win, so maybe that'll be something that kind of comes up as a surprise earlier than later. We'll kind of see. I like this one though. Define he refuses to resign as the Supreme. What is it saying? Yeah, as to resign if the Supreme Court rules he lied to the Queen. My first question on this one is this: she's 93 years old, but she know that he lied or not lied or what? I don't know. We'll see. I mean, at 93, I hope that I still have my wherewithal with me, but I mean, who knows, right? So that's what we have going into tomorrow, guys. Like I said, no, not a lot of movement on Mondays. Mondays have been rather slow. A little bit of movement, here and there. I saw a couple of you guys put some nice Nadex trades up today, and that's great. So that being said, I'm not going to jump directly into the chart. I'm actually going to go across and we're going to touch base on using the scanner. So the scanner is something that we had tested. There. You didn't actually lose audio. I just didn't have any audio up there. Let me know if you can hear me now because I had to re-add it to this thing. You didn't actually lose audio. There you go. I can hear myself on my test one, so I know it's coming through. So no, you kind of lost audio. This is the new screen that I kind of created. It's another scene in here that I clicked to. I just didn't add a microphone, so you didn't. There was nothing to lose. But basically, you guys have seen this. It's a shame. I told you guys how to do some amazing stuff there. Basically, guys, this is a scanner that was created. It was under development for a long time. I helped kind of test it a while ago. They asked for some features. The one feature, unfortunately, we did not get that I thought, and they mentioned they were going to add was going to be the email alert to this one. It didn't work. So with that being said, I'm going to see, if we get some good feedback on this one, I may touch base with them and see if they could program some type of an alert system in, maybe not an email, but if I could pay them to, again, maybe use it to do an alert to like a Discord channel. But it is a product that you guys have the ability to buy, and it's something that they want me to test further and get feedback from you guys. So I can give you guys a link if you guys wanted to purchase this, but basically what it does is it takes the system that's taught inside of the forex class, and again, what it is it's an active scanner. It's actually linked up. I guess you have the option of using Oanda or FXCM, but what it does is it actually links up into those two live data feeds and will show you live time where your current setups are. Okay. This is completely standalone, James. It doesn't matter what, for you toss diehards that just won't give it up, even though it's bad, it doesn't matter. This is a standalone. Basically, it takes data feeds from FXCM in demo mode or a live Oando account, and it's completely on itself. Has nothing to do with any platform. And what it'll do is it'll give you the different. Now you have different options here. So hold on, let me see if I can get to it. It's like buried under 6 windows right now. So like for this one right up here, this is the European basket. If I stop the European basket, I can change. I can use text instead. And the text, instead of giving you the arrows, which I actually prefer the arrows, it'll actually give you these. So like in this case, EuroCAD is sideways, with an upward biased. Okay, Euro pound right now is in a downtrend setup versus, I guess you can't see it because it's not on any of the other ones because it's not in those baskets. But here, like, sideways, downward confirmed. When you drop down here, it's sideways down confirmed. I prefer the icons personally, but you can change the colors and kind of move those things around. So again, it is a standalone system. I definitely think it's worth it, especially if you're going to trade this method. It's something that's nice to look at because, it can constantly give you, it's checking. I think I have it set to check every minute, but obviously for your daily 4 hour and 1 hour, during the day, these aren't bad to be able to have up in a standalone platform where you could literally look at this and be like, hey, downtrend setup right here. Instead of having, 8 monitors for the cost of, for less than the cost of one monitor, you could have this up here that will do all the monitoring for you and tell you when the setups are actually occurring. Okay. Not a bad little, not a bad handy tool, So again, was very appreciative. And like I said, maybe I can ask him what it would cost to send it to a Discord channel, but you could actually purchase it for yourself. I can shoot you guys a link if you guys wanted it. All right. But I'm going to start using in chart school. So when we're looking out here right now, as I said, I'm not a big fan of, I don't like the text. I prefer the actual icons. I just think it's easier and visually easier to see. Right now, what it's saying is in like the Euro basket. This is the Euro basket. You can see it up here up top. Right now, it's saying right now we have one downtrend setup. If I stopped it and switch it across, so everything is standard, okay? You guys will see the arrow in the box is the setup. Okay, the only other thing we have is you guys can see on Euro Yen on the 4 hour, the hourly, and the 15-minute, we have uptrend setups, meaning it's obviously pulling back. Again, its larger trend is up, okay? And then again, you guys can see that for the European basket. Down inside of the kind of the majors, you guys can see Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, both of those on the daily are in a downtrend setup situation. Dollar Swish is on the 4 hour downtrend setup situation. That's weird. There's fireworks tonight. I don't know why there'd be fireworks, but there's fireworks. None of the pound baskets, they're all kind of sideways. Again, you kind of see in the pound charts, not only did they go down, but now they're kind of most likely pulling back and they're somewhat engulfed. And then obviously in the Aussie basket, again, downtrend setup in the Aussie dollar, the Aussie yen, and Aussie New Zealand, which is kind of what we talked about earlier. Uptrend setup on the 4 hour, so a little bit of conflicting piece here. And again, be cautious with that. And then Aussie Swiss, which we don't really ever trade. You can see on the lower time frames, but it has a number of different options. It's pretty nice. Like I said, these are all the different ones that it comes pre-specified with. If you have the real estate and you wanted to do it, like I said, I would probably put the Aussie basket, the CAD, the Swiss, put all the different baskets up there, and again, it'll break it down into small kind of pieces here. And then again, I would change it, but I'm just using the standard settings right now. I'll probably adjust it a bit more. I started using it the middle of last week. Okay. Lots of red. Bought some of those and they fix it. Lots of red on the euros. Yeah, on these. Yeah, on these pairs. I mean, again, these are blue. And again, you can change it. They use blue and red. I think you can change all of that actually if you don't prefer. Like if you were red blue colorblind, obviously these are not the ideal colors for you, right? Right? They're not the best. But again, that's kind of what we're, again, that's what we're looking for right now. We'll kind of, resort back to this. Obviously the Aussie pairs, and we'll kind of see that inside of the chart. So with that being said, let us switch back over to this guy and we'll go over to here and start looking at some charts. So as you guys can see, as we mentioned before, okay, and again, I can actually, remember, Aussie yen right now is a downtrend setup, and you guys can see it now. You're looking at this, and any of you guys know the strategy, know that this right now is currently not a downtrend setup, and here's why. Okay, it is pulling from Oanda, and it's set to bid. So if I actually change this and go to bid, actually didn't change it on this one, but it's slightly different on the actual Oanda chart. It is, if I pull the Oanda chart up, which is right here, for the Aussie yen, you guys can see it looks like, whoops, it looks like that. You guys see that right there? So this is an actual Oanda feed. Okay, there's what you can see. So it is a downtrend setup, but it does look a little bit different. So remember, platform to platform, things are slightly different. So that's why you got to make sure that you find the right area. And again, understand the difference between the two. So I'm going to change this back to mid. Okay. And again, that's arbitrage between different brokerage firms. All right, so looking at this pair, we mentioned this before. Again, it says downtrend setup on the daily. It's showing it slightly different than this, but again, we are basing, we are pushing down. We did just pull back to a little bit of a zone here, very, very small, right? We kind of just grazed the top of it, looking at this little bit right here. So downtrend setup, grabbing that, and again, understand though, this is a little bit kind of a boxed-in situation, right? So we did push down, and again, this is something I talked about inside of chart school, basically having it pop through, or this morning, having it pop through, come back up and retesting, and it got pretty close before it based and then dropped. But this is what we have kind of on the larger time frame. Understand that we're sitting here on the downside, so it's kind of a squeeze type situation. All right, until we clear the wick over wick on the daily, I probably wouldn't be shorting it. I just feel like we're going to get kind of a bounce back and forth. And if I have to look at the zone here based off the daily versus the basing over here on the 4 hour, I think I'm going to probably go with the daily, right? We always go with the larger time frame. So just be a bit cautious about that one. We may get some bounce back and forth, but I don't think the area is too big. You're talking about, I don't know, about 30 pip range back and forth. So it's small, but again, there's, we just need to be a bit cautious about it. All right. Aussie, New Zealand, kind of the same situation, right? It mentioned that it was a downtrend setup. And again, you guys can, it's, not perfect, but again, downtrend setup. But one of the things that I like about this one is the fact that we did come off this upper area, and we had this upper 4 hour zone, this selling zone, multiple places to get into this one. Again, this green bar back here, this was from all the way back in this level of basing. So it's not an active zone that we're worried about necessarily right now. It did break through the top and kind of bounce through it. So it really needs to be cleared. It's no longer kind of something that we need to worry about. Now, we did come off this top section. We did pull back down. It did bounce. It came up. It retested, and that hit Monday morning about 7 a.m. this morning, if you guys were able to catch this one. It did push down, and it did actually go to its profit target. So obviously, when we're talking about profit targets, there's where your profit target would have been, and that's right where we're sitting right now. Again, the reason why that would have been your profit target is because that's the last big spike, right? That's the last big push off, and it's also the bottom of the channel, okay? Now, this move, this was worth approximately 55 pips, right? Actually, probably a little bit higher than that, but we'll leave it at 55, right? That's about what you were looking for in this one. Now, the risk on the pullback, again, a little bit higher level of risk just because it was based off a daily zone. But again, once you had, even if you did the push to here, again, you had plenty of room to run to the downside. And unfortunately, this is not a Nadex pair that you guys could take. This was definitely this was a currency position only, okay? But you had a couple different entries when it broke through here. If you wanted to take a red, green, red, you could have got entry here. You had another test here, and then again, another test here before it kind of rallied all the way down. And in fact, if we wanted to move it all the way over, we could say there to there. And again, that was based off of this 4 hour zone, okay? And get some puts in. So that's what we're looking at for this one right now. From here, I mean, although it is still a downtrend setup, again, I'd be a little bit cautious. This was a pretty nice bounce. It was a pretty nice rally. I mean, even down to the 30-minute, you guys can see it spent some time here and then really kind of initiated its move upward. So if anything, I'd probably wait till we broke down here at 107.50. If we can get below this level down here, looking on the daily, you're pretty much clear down to 106.80 or 106.90-ish area, right? You're looking at, yeah, down in here. I mean, there's a little bit of a pop here, but potentially we could be looking at, something along, something like in here. Okay, we could potentially be taking over that area, but we got to see what it does. Now, again, this could be a momentum breakout if you want to take it short. Look for a break of that zone, a retest with some white space, and then a continuation to the downside. That could be viable. Again, if we just kind of grind away sideways, it doesn't make it as clean. Obviously, then the probability of success goes down. Looking at the Aussie dollar. Now, Aussie dollar is also in a downtrend setup situation. Again, not over on this one because it's based off the Oanda feed, and the Oanda feed is, let's see, you guys can see it here. And actually, it's slightly below. It just turned red on the other one as well. So it may need to catch up. But you guys can see it here. Okay, so this was green, so it was giving us a downtrend setup. So now, was it a good downtrend setup? Question is not really. You guys can see it. It's been pulling up and it's been basing. It pushed off this zone again, which was, you guys remember this level, right? This is what we saw. We had a big pop, kind of some drama in here, right? And again, this purple area, was originally drawn off of that, right? That's what we bounced off of. Since that time, it hit it, popped up, and gone flat. Okay, so absolutely no trend in this one. It is definitely flat sideways, definition of flat. This is a 5-minute chart at the bottom, not a 30. That's why it looks like it's got a lot of movement. Here's your 30-minute chart. So what has it done? Not much. We went from 67.80 down to 67.76. So you're talking about such a small period, 10, 15 pips at most this one has moved back and forth between, and it's literally bounced from bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top, and now we're at the bottom again. So nothing, not a lot of super movement in this one. Okay, so sorry about that. One thing I do like, again, we do have, be cautious about the level over here at 67.26. It's about 50 pips from where we are right now. That was the red candle behind the big push up. If we can get down here and break this kind of 67 area, I definitely think we could take this lower. And with everything that's going on, again, dollar strength seems to be something that we keep talking about, and it seems like it keeps prevailing and keeps popping through. With that continued pressure, I don't see why this can't go, break that 67 level and continue to go lower. But again, at this point, even looking at the 4-hour, we're just purely sideways. There's just no movement there. There's no trend. Again, there's no reason to put money out there when it's not moving. This tea is just like a tad too hot for me. All right. So looking at pound Aussie, again, pound Aussie had that nice burst above this area. Again, we were using this as kind of a trigger to let us know when to come back. And interesting enough, what did it do? It popped above, it came back at the trigger, and then kind of went across. And it's now started to flip and turn to the downside. So we can remove that and just get it out of the way at this point. You guys can see on the daily, it did pull back into the wick over wick before it stopped. On the lower time frame as well, you can see that that's the zone that we're sitting in, and it's still sitting in that zone right now. It's spent a lot of time there. I mean, we're talking about where we are here. I mean, we're talking about 14 hours inside of the same kind of 4-hour zone. Again, the pound on everything, as you guys saw inside of the baskets, I think I can drag it across, right? Yeah, there we go. Hopefully you guys can see that. Let me drag this out of the way. I have so many windows up. You guys can see, here's your pound basket. Everything is basically sideways. Okay, sideways with an up, a lot of bias, right? Again, nearer term, it's kind of sideways down. Again, it's because of the pullback. So not too much that we need to worry about at this point. YouTube, what happened to audio? You can hear now. Yeah. All right. So again, that's what we're looking for, just that sideways movement. We want to make sure that we do have a trend. When there's no trend, save your money. Keep it out. Because again, the worst thing you want to do is be in a non-trending market, put capital at risk, and then all of a sudden when something happens, it launches on you because you've had no analysis, right? So looking at Euro Pound, again, Euro Pound is a downtrend setup situation right now. And again, you can see it over here, right? Red, here's your current action. We erase the action candle, right? Looking back, it is outside. We look, it's downtrend, it's pulling back, and it's looking for some orders. Now, is there anywhere to grab the orders? And this is the problem I talked about this morning, okay? I've talked about, yes, we are in a setup situation, but where's it going to grab from? And there's nothing really clear until we really get high. The way that these 4-hour candles formed, I mean, it was basically no wicks, right? And then straight back down again. So even on the lower time frame, we had a little bit of an area of basing right here, and that's exactly what it bounced off of. But did it really give you a huge explosive push? I mean, we bounced off here, right? And then pushed back down, and you're talking about 30 pips at the biggest, from peak to peak. If you literally pick the top and the bottom, you got 35 pips out of it, okay? And it didn't stay long, okay? And it didn't stay long. And again, that was about 2:30 in the morning, again, on Monday morning, and then your maximum was at 3:30. So it was literally in that hour when news was, it was literally, it was here, and then it was over. So if you were up at 3:15 in the morning, you were good. If you didn't, you missed the trade, and the rest of the day, it did this. Starting at, basically 8 o'clock in the morning, where price was at 8 is where it is right now. So it hasn't moved since that time. Now, looking into the week, again, this one has the potential to have some movement. Looking at tomorrow, again, a little bit of European news. Okay, nothing crazy. Nothing here. And then again, President Draghi. When Draghi speaks, we most likely will have some movement. But Draghi speaking, and then right after, we have the BOE speaking. So for me, I'm pretty, Wednesday or Thursday is the day that I'm looking for movement in this pair. We'll see what it's able to do. And again, we'll have a chart school Wednesday night, and we'll be able to kind of get a reading on at least where it is right then. Right now, it's just obviously no movement. It's slow. There was no news to be able to drive it. Okay. Looking at Euro again. So Euro yen had it finally completed that kind of downward side of things. So remember, I drew this forever ago. There's where our two targets. It came back down and ended up bouncing off the same level of basing. Okay, here's the bottom of that level, and there's the same level of basing. So, I'm trying to figure out if I would continue to take this further. I don't know, just because with this candle being so far down here, we know that there's a wick over wick that starts right above where we are. So if I was drawing the wick over wick for what it bounced off of, we're looking at that. Okay. That's kind of what we bounced off of. You guys see it right here as well. The same kind of hidden zone. And again, it's going up and looking for orders, but unfortunately, look on the 30-minute. Where's it grabbing orders from? Okay. It can't really grab a whole lot until we get back up into this area right here. So kind of limited in what we can actually do with this pair. And I'm not even sure I would take it to the downside at this point, just because we were so close to a daily zone that, again, it showed twice, and this time it didn't. It just barely tipped the end of the area. So I'm trying to think if I would take that short. And what I'm trying to think of is if I would take it short off this one or not. I mean, it's about 100 pips down, about 8 pips risk on that one. Yeah, potentially. Same area. Let me see something here. Get rid of that guy. I'm gonna put this here. Yeah, it's the same one. Yeah, I feel like I'm not gonna. I think I'd be looking for a short because this is such a small level of risk. I think this could be what I'd be looking to do. Put something in there and potentially look for this. I'll probably do it there. Yeah, it's 80 pips to there. Okay, so your risk level is, oops. You're looking at about 13 pips risk for about 80 in the other direction. Okay, and again, small risk. Again, you can take this one. It is Euro yen, so you do have the ability of taking this inside with a Nadex pair and potentially even have less risk in it if you wanted to. All right, but that's probably the best thing I see on this one right now. And again, that's basing off a 4-hour zone. And again, for price to rally up, right? It may not do it today, but again, red candle, we get if it doesn't do it today and we get a green candle pushing up, again, that's where we have this downtrend setup situation. Okay. Yeah, it's about the best thing I look. Like I said, I don't think I want to mess with this bottom zone here. It's just shown too much that there's definitely some buyers sitting down there. Let's go look at euro dollar. All right, so this one's kind of ugly. Yeah, this is a mess. This thing is an absolute mess in here. Kind of the same chart. Again, we had the gap, the big drop down, right? And then since that time, it's kind of retraced a little bit and then just gone flat on us. Even on the 4 hour, it's gone flat. The difference is this one didn't really have the same kind of basing level over here on the left. Man, this one's just super ugly. This whole mess here is just this little sideways back and forth. This is super, super ugly. And again, the reason why this is because as soon as you hit this 110-ish area, people start panicking like, oh my God, could it go to 109? Is it going to parity? And that's the problem. Is people don't like this area. Now, while the daily's a mess, I do like some of the movement we see over here on the 4 hour. This was a pretty nice zone that it bounced off of. This level of basing that it's creating right now isn't horrible either. That's not a bad little zone right there. And again, it's the same zone that we talked about in the euro yen. If it goes at that one, it's going to be in the same place on this one. So there'll be two different pairs that are giving us a short signal. I probably like it better in the euro yen than this one. I think the setup is better. Again, because it does match on the daily and it makes sense on the daily. At least it gives us an area where buyers could step in. This one, I honestly don't know. I mean, price is cleared all the way down here to 109.27. Technically, it should be clear all the way down to there, and then below that, potentially. the euro yen at least has given us a little bit more certainty where the buyers actually are. So I think that's actually the better of the two setups would be the euro yen versus the euro dollar. Now, again, you could take it in the euro dollar if you really wanted to. That's up to you. But I think of the two, I'd prefer the other one. I'd rate that one just a little bit higher. Now, looking at Euro Aussie again with European news this week, particularly when Draghi's speaking, Euro Aussie may be something that we want to take advantage of. As you can see, this one has kind of come up. It's gone into a 4-hour zone. It hasn't exploded out of the 4-hour zone. You guys can see over here, it's just kind of meandered sideways. We talked about before having and hitting that reversal area and having it kind of come back down again. Now, this is one of the ones that you could have taken the weekend gap. Okay, there's your weekend gap play right there. Again, it's rolling. A potential profit on this one would actually be just a little higher. Should be there. Okay, and you guys could see that right there. Now, you were well on your way. Okay, it was a nice push to the downside. The risk in this Sunday night gap play would have been about 15 pips. Okay. This one traveled all the way down to about 85 before it kind of retraced on you. Okay, so had you been following this one and trailing it, most likely you would have got out somewhere in this position over here, somewhere about 70-ish pips. But you had the ability to take it that far down. Like I said, didn't reach the full profit target. It has now since that time just gone sideways. But again, this was a Sunday night gap if you guys were able to take advantage of it. Okay, it was there. Trying to get rid of the multiple boxes. I think that's why I broke the thing before, because it's not nobody boxes like me. But there was your entry, and it would have been there, and right about there is probably about 65. Okay, so you got 4-1 out of it, and now it's just gone sideways. Okay. Now I do like this one continue to the downside. It needs to kind of grab some orders above, I think. Unfortunately, the only orders that we have are just slightly above. They're sitting up here around 162.50, so it does have to run up about 20 more pips before we get into another area of sellers. But I think there is some potential for this one to continue to push lower. As I mentioned before, I definitely embarrassed the euro. Again, this one has retraced, I think, more because of the Aussie weakness. But again, first target. Second target would be down here. This I'm not as worried about in this area. I think we'll have a little bit of basing, but I think we'll eventually be able to push down. Let me remove that, and we'll push that up to there just to get some extra lines off. All right. So that's what we're looking for on this one. Pound yen. Okay, pound yen again did not have a very big moving day. It's down 66 pips total, mostly because of the pound weakness. And again, we talked about this too, finding kind of shorts in this one. We talked about price coming up and hitting this level of basing and where it would turn. Now, it hasn't been the easiest turning over here. You guys can see we got a bunch of lines here. I think we did this on lower time. Yeah, we did it all down lower time frame. I'm going to clear a lot of these things up here just so you guys can get a better view of it. There we go. Boom. Okay. Now, this kind of situation we talked about, obviously, in your shorts, we needed a break below. You guys can see, actually, it did kind of break, pull back, and kind of come down again. Hasn't been super smooth, though. And again, looking at the 30-minute, you guys can see really since about 4:30 this morning. Here's where it kind of, again, news drove it down. And what has it done since that time? Really not a whole lot. It's moved 10 pips since 4 o'clock this morning. So what are we talking about here? 12... 17 hours, it's been stuck in the same exact spot. Now, more bearish this pair. Again, I was really behind this pair strength-wise. This week, particularly with the BOE news, I think if they talk about anything about slowing or recession or anything else, I think people are going to overreact. And we could potentially have this thing drive back down again. Now, I'm going to leave this target here because that's based off the 4-hour. But I'd be looking see what this red line is. This 130 kind of 70-ish area. I feel the price could definitely make its way down here by the end of the week, particularly if the BOE news that they're talking about is bad. And just with everything going on, the manufacturing numbers were kind of mixed. There was a good one and a bad one. I feel that the BOE is, I don't know. When they talk, I don't know how they can talk about too much positiveness until Brexit is kind of solved. And again, the hard exit for Brexit, who knows? I'm not even going to speculate at this point. I mean, who knows what the heck is going on with Brexit? When it's over is when we're going to know. And I think the market is just so confused and the market doesn't know. I think they were on the right path, and now they're confused again, and that's why we're seeing the weakness step back in again. And I just don't see how they can say anything necessarily positive. Okay, what's up, Angry Mac? Go across the pound dollar. You guys can see pound dollar is down 52 again, percentage wise, better off than what the pound yen is. And again, this is the story that we've had lately about dollar strength. And again, pound weakness. Now, it did come back up again. We did have this trigger, right? This was the trigger to notify when you come back to look at charts. As you guys can see on the daily, it was flaunting with these two zones over here. So, not surprised it turned. Now, it has kind of bounced back and forth. We had this level here that this is where price took off of before. That's where we're sitting right now. Now, am I willing to take this long? Not really. It's just not as interesting for me to take long. Again, it ran out of steam. It had the nice push from this morning and then stopped. So, I mean, this is where we basically ended, ended last week. We had Sunday. Here's Monday morning news and then stopped. So you guys can see there's really absolutely no momentum in the stock right now whatsoever. The dollar's not pushing it. The pound is not pushing it. I think tomorrow morning, I believe the consumer confidence number will give us some type of a pop. So where I'm looking at 4-hour wise, where we are right now, I'll remove some of these just to get them out of the way so it's a little bit cleaner. Let's get some of these things off. Those are all the different punches through. All right, so 4-hour areas that we'd mark off is obviously kind of where we're sitting at right now. All right, so there's one. Let's change this to purple so you guys don't think we're selling. Okay, so we got one there. Okay, we have another potential kind of spike area down here. Okay, on the top side, you guys can see we're kind of wedged here. And then I'd mark off the top. Okay, so let's get this out of the way. So these are big levels. I'd leave this green one where it is. Okay, because we actually have, that one is actually tagged the top of it, so that's definitely an area where we could be looking to buy. So I'd be looking at this as far as going into tomorrow to see if we can get any spikes off of these. Obviously going to the top side, from where we are now, if we do go back up, it's only about 36 pips, not very big. If we push back down, this is about 90 pips, okay? That if the consumer confidence number is good, 90 is a bit far for that number. I'm thinking if we do get kind of a surprise number on that one or a surprise miss, it's probably worth about 40. I don't know that we're going to cover 90 just off that spike. So if anything, I think a spike up is probably more what we're looking for. And again, we may want to kind of shrink these a little bit to the downside. But that's about the best we're looking at. The fact that we're sitting on an area right now, it's an area that has actually shown us good kind of movement off of it, but the reaction to it has not been great. It hit, it stopped, and we got a bounce. It drove 3 times deeper and has now started to form higher lows and just flatlined since, noon? Hasn't moved since that time. So, again, case of running out of steam. We'll see what the consumer confidence number is able to bring us for us tomorrow, okay? Now, one thing that's interesting to note, with everything that's going on, right, with as many days, like lately it's been boom or bust, right? We either have great, wonderful movement, or it's like super, super slow. Mondays have just been absolutely just painful lately. They've just been rather slow. There has been some trades you could take over Monday nights, but everything else has been such small term. You're grabbing 30, 40, 50 pips here and there. One interesting thing I saw the other day is that currency volume is back up to 6.5 trillion a day. It had actually dropped down to, I think, 5.3, 5.8, but it was actually back up to 6.6 again. Not that 5.3 trillion every single day is any small feat, but it's interesting. You've seen a lot of money flow back out of crypto and back into forex again. $1 trillion worth going back into it. So even though it's been super slow some days, a lot of money is going back into it. Okay, now. Interesting place that this one turned off of. It went all the way up. It tested the very, very high, and you guys can see here. I don't know if you can. Try to make it as big as possible. Okay. I'll just do it this way. Here, I'll put this here, and I'm going to change it. I'll change it to this here, and okay. I'm not sure why there is a. Must have put like 3 lines there. You guys can see that. That's right at the top. And you guys will see right there. Okay, so you guys can see exactly what kind of came off of it. Pushed it all the way to the peak before it turned and flipped. Now, interesting thing about this one, again, we were looking for some type of flip. This one has been too straight up in the air. Typically, this is one we only follow in news because the ATR is just absolutely insane. The ATR on this one is, what, 170 pips? So there's just so much movement in this one. Now, based off the flip, you guys can see that we did get an entry right here. Now, this is going to look absolutely ridiculous, but here's your red, green, red turn, right? Here is your first bit. So just the risk level on this one is 95 pips, which seems like it's absolutely unreal. Okay, but what have we done so far? We pushed down 179. So we basically, it's already up 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. If you're looking for that on the smaller time frame, again, that's what I would do. Again, in this case, you're able to kind of shrink this in half and basically take your risk level up until here, which is still about 50 pips, which is a lot. In which case, again, your risk to reward ratio at this point is up to about 220 pip profit. Okay, put it to where price is right now. You're at 200 pip profit. So it is still a 4-to-1 risk reward ratio, but it's one of those pairs that is like, my God, it's just scary to watch of how fast it starts. This pair is just all over the place. It moves a lot. So, if you're trading smaller size accounts, again, risking 50 could be a lot, right? You have to make sure you adjust and accordingly. But man, when this thing is moving, it's moving. I mean, it's where nothing else moved today. This thing moved like 200 something pips today. So, yeah, it's a big mover. Okay, this is this one is more volatile than the pound yen as far as movement goes at this point, especially because we know that it's flat, but yet it moved 200 pips. So be cautious with this pair. Yeah, this is one you definitely want to keep an eye on. Not that you would have taken a lot of heat on this one. Your entry, the most heat you would have taken on this one is about, let's see, based off of there, you took 20 pips heat on this one total, right? Had you taken an entire risk, you took about 20 pips total. Yeah, and that's it. And again, you could have actually shrunk your risk down if you really, really wanted to get crazy with this and drop it to here. And again, you could drop your risk to about 27 and made the same, getting close to a 10-to-1. Spread was ridiculous if I skip. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Again, a pair like this, the spread is going to be big just because the volume isn't there. But you can see how much it moved, right? It's one of those ones that's like, yeah, you can make a lot, but you can also get burned really, really fast on this one. So you got to be cautious. Look at New Zealand dollar. New Zealand dollar is also in a downtrend setup situation, just FYI. And again, you guys can see it. What is it? It's green inside of a red downtrend. It is pushing into lows. I talked about if we could get to those new lows, this could definitely be something to enter. If you guys look at this one as well, you guys can see that where are we? We just pulled back into an area of sellers. Okay, so it is kind of set up right now. Again, this is not a Nadex pair. You're not going to be able to trade something Nadex wise. This would be something that you're looking for. Here's the problem. Okay, I'll change this back and we'll go to weekly. Okay. Where price is right now, we are tickling the very lows of 2015. Okay, if we go back to monthly, okay, you can see the last time price, besides where we are right now, the last time the price was here was back in April of 2009. So it's been some time, I guess you could say, since price was this low in this pair. Just keep that in mind. Okay, and again, what we're dealing with right now is this. Okay, let's go back and look. Now, again, we've broken, have come back up and retested, and that's what we're seeing right here. Got it so far back. There we go. And all you people that think toss is worth it, what I just did is more powerful than what toss can do. So that's where we're at. If I drew some lines, basically showing you where the bottom of this is, it's kind of here to there. Okay, I'll change these to blue, just so we're not getting confused. Okay, and then let's go back over here, and you guys can see where we're in. Okay, so there's the zone bracketed right there. So we're technically in a demand zone right now. Being in a demand zone, pulling back out and hitting a level of basing, okay, typically is a good thing. When we don't see, again, whenever there's a base right above where current price is, not bad. Now, it did kind of come up, grab some more orders to push higher, and then ran into something. So if we do start to get a turn from this zone, again, gives us a good potential shorting area. To take this back down, you're talking about only about 30 pips to take it back down to the low. Okay, so it's not one of those like you're not. It's not like the last one we're talking about 220 pips, but you're talking about basically putting in new lows in this pair. Now, absolutely not surprised at all that it is pushing back down this low. Not that the dollar is great, but again, what was happening in 2009, the U.S. kind of global crisis was starting to affect the rest of the world. So it's not a coincidence. Again, New Zealand is a smaller economy. When when the world goes into a global recession, smaller countries seem to get affected the most. So it wasn't like the dollar was great back then, but we were stronger than obviously New Zealand. So again, I see them kind of going back into a similar situation. I keep thumping on the toss fan. Oh, being on the toss fan. James, you got thick skin, buddy. You can take it. But what I just did, I went back to 2009. I don't think you can do that on toss. I think it's too far back. Too much smoke. I did it on the daily chart. I don't think you had that option. But you got thick skin, man. But I love you for it. So yeah, so you guys can see where this one is again. Smaller position. It's not a native tradable pair. If you want to take in currencies, it's there. To the downside, your risk is rather small in there. If you wanted to, refine this one up, you guys could have refined it into this area. Obviously very, very tiny risk, but again, you guys can see nice little pop, came up to an area, very strong burst out. You're talking about 9 pip risk. And even if you just take it back down to kind of where it was, to this pop down here, you're talking about 35. Okay, so 9 for 35 is still not a bad risk to reward ratio. Okay, and it just entered the area a bit ago. Okay. There you go. All right. Now, the scanner doesn't work for this type of thing because obviously it is retraced back again. The scanner is looking for kind of things that aren't pulling back. So yes, is it a downtrend setup? Sure. Okay, where would you go? You would go across, and that's where we did. Come on, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. I'll just click over here. So again, you guys can see it. Downtrend setup. It's into an area of sellers. We drop it down lower to refine it, and then put the target in. Okay. I'm already in this one. Good. Good. You are a New Zealand person. I think you like this pair because you're like a barbecue guy. You're like a meat guy, so it's like, yeah, they have lamb there. The best lamb comes from New Zealand, so yeah. It's why you like this pair. Although you don't cook lamb that much. I will say, I think you have posted a couple lamb things, but I don't think you smoke lamb as much. You're more of a beef and chicken guy. I feel like you don't do pork and lamb as much, but beef because you're from Texas, and chicken because, everybody eats chicken. All right, so that's the setup on this one. Ernest, good for you being in it. Dollar Swiss, this is Ty's pair. Bam. All right. Same thing. This one bounced off of a daily zone. It kind of pushed back down again and now has just been grinding lower. Didn't really like the top of this one. Again, we talked about this one last week about how it went kind of higher. 2 wicks kind of came down, spiked up again, and then the big move happened on Thursday. And then since that time, it just kind of sideways. And this is where the Friday candle, right there, is the Friday candle, and then there's the Sunday candle. So it's kind of pushed down and kind of went back up to the gap. It's not a pair that screams to me. It's just, again, this one has gotten very, very wicky. Didn't mind the pair when it was in this. This with all the wicks up and down and the very, very small bodies, it's just not a pair that I'm attracted to. Technically speaking, this one is in basically an anchor break situation on the daily. It's got a little bit different reading. It's got a green candle in here. So, again, the gap messes it up a little bit too. So, I don't really love anything. I'm just going to move on this one. Dollar CAD. Again, this week, is not very full of CAD news. Okay, now, this one, the ATR is back down to 55. Okay, and you guys, you can see why. So, what have we gotten? Yes, we've had some up and down. This one is smaller than body is smaller than the wick, smaller than the wick. This one wasn't bad, although it was very compacted. And again, right now we're in the same situation, smaller than the wick. Here's the gap. Okay, it went slightly higher than the gap and then kind of came back down to the basing of the gap, and it's basically in a sideways channel. If you guys look at it right here, it's down 10 in 24 hours. And again, you guys can see the channel on the 4 hour. We've been kind of smashed in between. This is an average low and this is average high, so it's literally been about 40 pips top to bottom. But again, in the last 8 hours, and you guys can see here, this is a 5 minute. Let me bring it back down to 30. Hold on. You can kind of see that that's where we're talking about, and we talked about it before. We mentioned this. This is being kind of the two sections, and again, it went up, it went down from this area again, it went up again, and it went back down again. So if you're able to play this kind of sideways channel from really, you're looking at kind of this is an upper section, this 130, what is it, 133.03, right? Make this like that, and then bottom side of the channel is about here. I mean, be a little conservative. We'll just put it right about there. So we're talking about 132.60 to 133.03. I mean, 133 is fine. You can bring it to there. And you're talking about just under, right there, you're talking about 40 pips. Okay. And it's literally just bouncing back and forth between those two sides. Is there any really true, trend right now? Not really. I mean, the green is more or less engulfed because of the gap. It's not fully engulfed, but it's engulfed. It's pushed up to that kind of, it went right below the daily, the standout kind of supply zone. Remember we marked this off on the 4 hour? We talked about it getting just a bit higher and it was unable to do that. And now it's just literally bouncing between those two. Ding, 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 ding. So no real trend. Again, it's just channeling sideways. I think this one is pretty much a definition of sideways. Like I said, it's hit the bottom. It kind of consolidated a bit, kind of came across, down, up, and down. So it's hit about 4 times off this channel. Again, if you can get a confirmation, a nice green, red, green to the top, sure, you could potentially take it back up. But again, it's just kind of waiting. This one will move with consumer confidence tomorrow as well because there is a lack of Canadian news this week. This one will be purely focused on the dollar. Okay. Jumping across now and looking at dollar yen. I will say Ernest, the last thing that you guys posted. And again, guys, if you guys are not following Ernest, he really needs to create like a food Instagram page for all his food. You should see the meat plate that he put. I think in counting all the pieces of meat in the picture, you definitely would have got the meat sweats just counting them. There are so many cuts of meat on this one platter. So this is what Ernest does over the weekend. He's like, "Yep, game's on." He starts cooking. Again, downtrend. Nothing crazy with this one. What is there to say? I mean, we had a little bit of a gap. This is one of the ones that the scanner breaks on because again, price ended here and then it opened up here, so it is kind of messing it up slightly based off its calculations. Gap is the one thing that do mess the scanner up. But right now, again, we are downtrend confirmed. We are in an area where we have this wick over wick. So again, be a bit cautious with this one, right? I drew that a little bit big because it kind of snapped down on me there. But you're looking at an area right there. So we are in an area of buyers, but what do? We pulled back to an area of sellers. So it's the same kind of situation that we had in the very first chart that we looked at. Kind of a pinching between the two and a very small channel. Again, not huge movement today. You guys can see this one is down 13 pips in 24 hours. And again, not surprised. There really wasn't a whole lot of U.S. news. We had the flash data that was kind of able to kind of bounce it. But it's kind of the same thing, right? Same thing we saw this morning. It gapped, flat. At 3 o'clock, boom, it jumped down, retraced a little bit, and then it's in the exact same spot. Now, this is the only difference on this one is we did get a little bit bounce late today. About, 2-3 hours ago. It kind of came up. This one actually did come up to the base and is now already starting to retrace down again. So not too much different on this one. If we can start pushing that back down to the 107.40 on this one, I'm going to be probably looking to get short on this one. I think we can get a push down at least into the 107.00. Again, 40 pips to the downside. I think that wouldn't be bad. I actually do think that the data tomorrow will be a little bit negative. That will kind of erode the dollar a little bit. I think as soon as you start seeing some consumer confidence going down, I don't think the dollar strength will be there, at least for kind of bursts and things. So, that's kind of what I'm looking at for this one. Like I said, it's only having consumer confidence tomorrow for the U.S. I wish we had more. Like I said, even Wednesday morning, all we have is crude oil. Thursday, nothing. I mean, final GDP, just a word of warning. Okay, so final GDP is the smallest typically of all of the GDP numbers. And the reason why is, you have like the preliminary, the advanced, the median. There's a bunch of different GDP numbers. We already know what it is, and this is just given like kind of the final stamp of, oh yeah, based off of everything, yeah, this is what it is now. We've gone through it a few times, so there can potentially be some changes, but there's typically nothing earth shattering with it. Like I said, if they miss this one, then yeah, it's rare that they actually miss this one, just because again, we've already had a couple of iterations of it. I'm not sure why they have multiples, but I'm sure there's a rationale for it somewhere. But so just again, this is not the preliminary. The preliminary is the kind of the good one where people are like, "Holy crap, we had no idea," and wow, it's going to be good. And then everybody it's jacked about it. This one is not as important. But again, still a GDP number, and it's all we got for U.S. news. Even going into Friday, it's kind of just like, wow, wow. I mean, core durable goods is good, personal spending is good, but Friday is literally the best news day we have this week. All right, guys. So with that being said, only 6 of you right now. There are 13 in here. Make sure you guys do an exclamation point ticket. Make sure you get in there. Wealth Builder just got in. Let's see. Looks like James is missing from that list. It looks like Ernest, I know, is missing from that list. I saw Angry Matt get in there earlier. Who else we got in there that I can see? FX Jones, you are in there. Looks like Q is missing tonight again. I'm going to have to give him a hard time. Will's in there. Ryan is in there. Josh is in there. Okay, there's Ernest. There we go. Here we go. Come on, James. There's James. All right. I was like, come on, we gotta get you in here, man. Now, James was on a streak, and actually Ernest was on a streak, and then James won 2 in a row. And then who won the last one? FX Jones, I think, won the last one, right? I'm just gonna keep track of how many people. Like so far, like if you're a betting man, we have to go with the guy who won it last time. If that was his first victory, we've had a lot of people that have done back to backs, but I think if it was FX Jones last time, so we'll see. All right, so I'm gonna close it down. I think that's everybody in there right now. Like I said, there are a couple of people that don't do the contests. I don't know if it counts me or not, but and then over on YouTube, it doesn't link over to YouTube, so I have to give you guys kind of pieces by yourself. So with that said, let's close the giveaway and draw a winner. Wealth Builder. Look at that, man. Not too bad. Nah, it's not gonna work. I got it this time. Wow. Wealth Builder called his shot, and man, look at that. Can you believe that? That's pretty crazy. He's like, nah, it's not gonna work. I got it this time. Wow. So tomorrow, everybody will be calling their shots. Mark giveaway is complete. Yep, can't draw any more winners. It is complete. Let's go over here and give Wealth Builder. But man, that was pretty cool. He's like, nah, I'm winning this time. I got this, bro. I got this. Hold my beer. There we go. We are good. All right. I have to actually do the username. All right, so Adrian, you rock. So, with that being said, guys, we'll be back on tomorrow night. Again, any feedback on the scanner, please give it to me inside of Discord so I can pass the messages across. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that every night. After we go through kind of the news and kind of where we were today before we jump into charts, I'm going to bring the scanner up. If you guys want to take screenshots of it, you're more than welcome to do that. I'll actually work, if I get some time tomorrow, I will actually put up a web page for it and kind of the link of how to get to it. For you guys if you want to do it, to take advantage of it and purchase it. I'll put that up. But again, it's not a program that I created. It's a program that actually a friend of mine created for the system that we teach here. And then again, if I can get some options in there, like I said, if one or two of you guys buy it, I'm pretty sure I could talk him into kind of giving us some kind of bonuses or alerts with it or something like that. Some features. We'll get him to see if we can add some features. All right. Link the scanner. Yeah, I'll shoot it out to you. Yeah, I'll put it on a web page so we can, he knows. I don't know that he has. Let me make sure that his link is good. He sent me a link that I can send people to. Let me make sure it's good, and then I'll shoot it to you tomorrow. All right, you guys have a good one today. I will touch base with you tomorrow. I will be able to score tomorrow. It's not as crazy today. The only thing I have to do tomorrow is I have fingerprinting at 2:30, so I could volunteer and be a chaperone for an overnight trip for the boys. So yeah. So have a good one, guys. I'm out of here. Take care.